Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. This is Dan. I'm here with Big Cass. Big Cass, Buckeyes have their first conference game Saturday, 7:30. I know there's a lot of confusion. Was it 7? Was it 7:30? It's 7:30 on the Peacock,
On the cock.
on the cock. Get your login from your cousins and all that good stuff if you don't have it already.
Tell your grandma, if you have Peacock, give it to your grandma because they're complaining about paying $5.99.
It's not the 5.99 that's my issue. It's that there's like two or three. You're paying it for like two or three games a week max.
Well, but basketball there's going to be a lot of because I know my wife's aunt and her grandma watch a lot of girls basketball. I watch a lot of women's
Caitlin Clark
basketball.
on Peacock last year was worth it. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, Ohio State on Peacock. The Ohio State Iowa game was on Peacock. Like
Yeah,
the game that was in Columbus. Like
I like Peacock. I like the app. I like the shows. My biggest gripe with Peacock is I need more football on it. Like make me entice me to buy it. Don't make me buy it if there's going to be only one or two games a week. Get 10, you know?
the good thing is you can go back and you could go back and watch NBC or Peacock games because you could go back and watch last year's Ohio State Notre Dame game, which happened this week.
That's right. We got the famous I like to know where Lou Holtz is at right now.
That's a tough team out there.
Tough team. We're a tough team. Um,
I
but
just let me reflect on that. I just remember all of us being so jacked up and drunk and being
oh,
so hyped, and we had no idea like what Ryan Day was ranting about, but we loved it. And then the next day we are like, "Holy crap, this is
he
hilarious!"
just knew he yelled at Lou Holtz and then he just went on a rant. But dude, yeah, I just remember, and it's funny because it's like a year ago we had that tailgate. We have the tailgate. I'm having the tailgate this weekend at the house, which should be another big Buckeye victory. Hopefully, the tailgates were 2-0 against Notre Dame, but now we play
Like
Michigan State, and it
we've
was
had we we've had a total of three. We had Penn State 2020 where we were all
yes,
cooped up in my apartment.
yes, during COVID. That was a great one.
And funny how no we had 20 people in my little apartment here in Lancaster, Ohio, and none of us got COVID.
Nope, no, that's a great point.
So we're looking to go. The best thing about going 2-0 is to go 3-0 at our tailgates.
Four, no, it's 4 now because we did because I did the two Notre Dame ones.
I wasn't there for that though.
You're right. You weren't. I think you're at
I
the
was at the
you
Notre
were
Dame game.
you were at the game. So yeah, we us 3-0. It my tailgate's 2-0, and then yeah. All right.
Got
Anyway,
this.
anyway, tailgate this weekend, but most importantly, game. We got Sparty, an interesting team.
Yeah.
Um, we've been we actually waited a day to record because we want to spend more time kind of breaking them down. They're kind of an enigma right now. They're what's the word?
They're weird.
They're hot and cold. I would
Yeah.
describe them. They can
They're
be
not a bad
good
team.
or very bad. Um, what stands out right away is their defense to me. I
Yeah.
think the defense is very solid. And that was kind of evident in the Boston College game. And I know it was raining really hard there, but it might kind of be a similar thing kind of this weekend in East Lansing. The weather's not supposed to be great. They they did a pretty good job with Castellanos, I thought. Obviously, they ended up winning. But for them, they held them under 300 total yards, and their defense is one of like it's really solid. They're 29th in run defense and 27th in pass defense. They've allowed approximately 254.8 yards per game with 14.3 points per game. They're a top 25 defense without a doubt. They have some good pass rushers. They're tied second nationally with 15 sacks. And they have two guys who have 3 sacks already. So they will get after the quarterback. And I look, they've played Maryland, they played Prairie View, Florida Atlantic, and Boston College. They're not playing, the Bamas and Ohio States and the Georgias of the world just yet. But
But I tell you what, this next 4 game stretch that starts this week, Ohio State at Oregon, Iowa at Michigan, and then Indiana, and then Illinois.
Yes.
That 6 game stretch. Oof.
And it's funny because it's some of the fan base, some of the people in the Spartan fan base. I listen to like Valenti and Rico. Great show. I listen to them religiously. They because they touch upon they kind of give the I think the fairest opinions on the Big Ten. Um, they're completely down on the team, but then you go to Michigan State Twitter and they're predicting the upset. You know, they're really hyped up for this game. I hope it's a good game. I want a good game, and I know that might hurt Ohio State's rank a little bit. I want to see Michigan State. They'll be competitive. I want them to make this a good game because I want the Buckeyes to get a challenge.
Define good game though. Like, are you talking Notre Dame last year, or are you talking okay?
Notre Dame 2022.
It's the third quarter. It's the third quarter, and we have a 10 point lead, and in the fourth quarter starts, we open it up and win
I think
by
I
three
also
or
more
four
of like
scores.
maybe like an Iowa of 2022.
Kind of like what I just said. Like, yeah, where
I want to see them to give us some fits, but I want to see us pull away at the end. If we don't cover, I don't really care. That's not what I want. I think Michigan State, they're going to be a bowl team. I think they're going to continue to get better, and I think they will make one. Maybe they will get an upset. They will upset someone this year. I think they're just too talented after watching the film for them not to. They do a lot of good things well. They really do, bro.
I mean, if you really look at their schedule, Ohio State, Oregon, I think if you look at guaranteed losses, I think they can beat Iowa at home. I also think they can go to Ann Arbor and beat Michigan. But after that, when they play Indiana, that's where Indiana. I mean, Indiana is a solid program, despite they haven't played. People are saying Ohio State hasn't played anybody, but either has Indiana. But that 4 game stretch, if they a lot of Michigan State fans would probably say this, if they can get one of those games, and preferably the October 26th game, I think they'd be really happy. To be honest with you,
I agree. No, I mean, I really, I know it sounds cliche. I do like the job Jonathan Smith is doing there.
yeah,
Um, I think he's really stabilizing the program. And look, they weren't going to compete for a national championship this year, but he's definitely positioning themselves into becoming a very good program. Uh, Quickly going through their offense cast,
I
I think the receiving core is pretty good. Like it's not bad at all. When you, and I was
it's
kind
not terrible. Marsh is good.
he's a game time decision though. Um,
Yeah,
they and that is a problem. They like number three Montori Foster Jr. He's also a very good player. I liked watching on the I watched like some film. They really like to motion him a lot. That's something I noticed. They like to get him in motion and then either like they'll throw a bubble screen to him or they'll just get him going. They like to motion him to see, like if you're in man just to see, and they will get him the ball. I think they do a very nice job with that. Jack Velling, the tight end, he was a monster last year. He's actually playing very good this year. 12 catches, 159 yards. Um, they have Glover and Antonio Gage Jr. But the offense runs really around Marsh. Marsh is the key factor for them. He is, and I was texting you this. He's like a tier below Jeremiah Smith, I would say. Um, he potentially could break records at MSU. He's like people really talk highly of him. He might not be like a top 5 pick. I could see him being like a second round pick. But he's like a tier below Jeremiah in
yeah,
his freshman class, I would
and
say.
their running backs are solid. They only have 1 touchdown. Chiles has the 3 rushing touchdowns,
Yeah,
but both of them ground and pound, 271 yards rushing, 207 yards rushing. For Lynch Adams, who has 271, Carter has 207. They both average 5 yards a carry. The here's the thing. Michigan State's not great, but they're going to be the best test for this defense, and they're in this defense having to go on the road at night where they're honoring Mark D'Antonio. It's going to be a challenge for the Buckeyes defense but it'll also be the offense that'll get us ready for October 12th.
I
Um,
agree.
I I like Michigan State's defensive line. So to begin, be a good test for Ohio State's offensive line. I'm not worried about our offense, and I'm not worried about our defense. I'm worried about the atmosphere. It's Michigan State at night, honoring the greatest one of the greatest coaches in Michigan State history with a pretty good. I'm gonna call him rookie head coach. He had solid seasons with Oregon State, but this could be a program defining win, and weather could play a factor. But I they're not world beaters. Michigan
No,
State's not world beaters. They're on the up and coming. They kind of remind me of Illinois 2 years ago, 2022.
that's a fair take.
But with flip the switch, like better offense. Illinois had a good defense, but their offense was shaky.
I feel as if Michigan State, they have a couple dudes
Yeah.
on their team, a couple really good dudes, and then everyone else is just a bunch of guys, but they're coached very well. They're coached very well. Um, Quarterback though, Aidan Chiles, and I liked Aidan Chiles going into the year. I still like Aidan Chiles. Watching the tape though, it's clear two things. One, he throws a great ball. He's a gunslinger, and he's not afraid to to air it out. Number two, though, he has not fully grasped that offense yet. I think he still needs to develop a lot more. I think it's very clear he makes some dumb mistakes at times. Um, and his stat lines are always crazy. It'll be like 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 picks. And, like he'll throw it like 45 times. He'll have like 10 incompletions, but 3 of those will be picks. It's crazy. He's electric. It's going to be a roller coaster. And if Aidan Chiles just shows up, and maybe this is the game where the switch flips, we could have a really good ball game. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. The problem is though, you're going up against the best secondary in the country, hands down. So I think if we come to play, and it's not, I don't want to see what we saw against Marshall. Those were a lot of quick passes. I know Marshall was scheming, just 1-2 ball out, 1-2 ball out. But if Childs comes to play, I'm going to be curious to see how our secondary holds up.
I think your secondary is gonna be all right. This is game for me is screaming Caleb Downs coming out party in a Buckeye uniform. It is like it's screaming that because of how good he is and how good he can be. Also Jordan Hancock. I think it's going to be definitely interesting to see. I just don't think they have the wide receivers that'll be able to compete against these DBs, and I
They
think these DBs are
they,
hungry.
they need Marsh. If Marsh is their big play threat, they've taken a bunch of deep shots with him. But even they do take these deep shots, Down should be playing center field, I think. So we'll see how that goes.
And Lathan Ransom, I'd like to see what he could do. I'm more concerned. Can the front seven can the D line be motivated? You could tell last week they were not motivated at all. I think they'll be motivated, but I think also you might see the offense struggle a little bit because possibly the weather. Out at the gate, out at the gate.
I'm curious how the D line contains Childs, because he's also a threat in the run game. He has 3 rushing touchdowns on the year, 95 yards. And you also forget, sacks count as minus rushing yards. So if we're doing probably NFL stats, he's probably more near almost 200 yards rushing. So he's absolutely going to take off with it and everything.
Right.
Ohio State put a spy on him. Does LJ really emphasize outside containment with JTT and Sawyer? I'm curious how we're gonna attack a rushing style quarterback like him, because as the season goes on, the better teams usually have a kind of player like that.
Yeah. And I think Jim knows the way he talked at his press conference, nobody getting the silver bullet this week. I think you're looking in for Jim Knowles to dial up some stuff and throw some stuff at this quarterback.
Yeah, look, I thought that was a little harsh by Jim. I thought maybe they should have given it to Lathan because that he made some good plays. But I do like that
Yeah,
Jim also is kind of sending a message to the guys like, hey, that first half against Marshall is not acceptable, and I agree, it wasn't acceptable. From at least from a talent perspective, the fact that they got 2 touchdowns on us, and they were tearing us apart in the passing game. I agree with Knowles there. A little harsh, but I see his point of view.
it's to motivate the guys,
It
and
is.
with Ryan Day said he's not satisfied about anything right now. I think it's just to motivate. It's Big Ten week. It's ready to strap up your chin straps and get ready to work because it's
Absolutely.
about to be a grind.
Absolutely.
So with my score prediction, as I said, I think the offense will start off slow, but I think we're going to pull away in the second half. I have Ohio State covering the spread right at the mark. I think it's 24.5. I think the last time I checked. Buckeyes win 38-13.
That's fun. I have the same score. I have the same score for Michigan State. I have the Sparty getting 13. I have the Buckeyes getting 49. I think, look, I Ryan Day is the Michigan State killer.
I sent that to you today.
It's the truth though. And I'm trying to like justify, oh, maybe the weather be a factor, but no.
You're gonna laugh at this when I send it to you though.
All right.
I
Um,
had a 2 hour emotional intelligence class and I was bored out of my mind and I sent that to you.
hey, bro, I mean, we were both at that game a couple of years ago where CJ Stroud dropped, what was it, 49 in the first.
49-0 at the half.
Again, that was one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen from, an Ohio State quarterback. That's going to live forever. I'm so glad I saw that. But like Michigan State doesn't have the secondary. And I said this last week, they don't have the secondary to compete with Emeka, Jeremiah, Carnell. They're going to get cooked. There's no and if or buts. And I know their defense is not bad, and they might get to Will here or there. They might give us some fits in the run game. But I know for sure that Chip Kelly's going to scheme something up. He's going to figure out what they're doing, and the run game will get going. I find it hard to believe that Trey or Judkins would have a hard time getting going eventually. So, I mean, I think we don't have any issues scoring. CeeDee Lamb's not having any issues scoring. Oh my God, he just scored like a 50-yard touchdown. And I will say though, their kicker, Kim, phenomenal, phenomenal. That guy, it irks me that Ohio State doesn't have him as a kicker because he hit some crazy kicks last year, and I think he'll make 2 field goals for sure. So that's why I got 13. And then 49, I think we just score. I think we do the old Ryan Day. We score 7 touchdowns, and he calls off the dogs.
Yeah. So yeah, he owns them. He owns them. You know who owned? You owned me last week in the pick'ems. I
Mm-hmm.
had my worst week to date this year. I think
I don't think it was even that bad. I think you went like 3-2.
I went 2-3.
Oh, 2-3. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not, one game
but
below.
still, that's my worst week.
That's a pretty good bad week, to be honest.
Yeah. Thank you, Illinois.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's some bangers though this week. There is some bangers.
I mean, I'll start with the biggest one of them all. I just want a full disclosure. I already took Bama money line, so I'm taking them plus 2.5.
I I, I like Bama too. Money line.
It's I've discussed this, and my head's telling me Bama, my heart's telling me Bama. The only thing that's the reason I'm not fully convinced is like when Georgia struggled against Kentucky a couple weeks ago. I was thinking like maybe they're just looking ahead to Bama, and they're really focused on Bama. But Carson Beck looked terrible. You look at the numbers. Milrow and Beck have similar passing numbers. I think Bama has the best offensive weapon in Ryan Williams. And then Milrow, I give him the advantage with his feet over Beck. And I was looking kind of at the schedules and all this. Bama's played UCF, USF. They're pretty solid. They gave Up last week they were USF was giving Miami a hard time until they lost their starting quarterback. And then Miami smacked them because their backup came in, made a bunch of turnovers. USF though made that a game. Um, so I just want to make that clear. And Bama handled them pretty well with their quarterback healthy, and they also took care of Wisconsin, like they dominated them. And it's at home, so I like Bama. You do too. But do you have any other thoughts on this?
I don't trust Georgia. I really don't.
I don't
I,
either. They seem
I
beatable.
yeah, and I think Alabama has Kirby Smart's number. I mean, I know it's different coaches this time, but there's something about when Alabama plays Georgia. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. The guy actually did it. The guy did it. Kudos to the Kansas State fan.
Yeah,
Froze the 5-layer burrito, and there's no video or picture proof of him actually doing it.
I don't want to
And I
see it.
don't want to see it, but he has confirmed that he did it. And for that sake, Kansas being at home, I like Kansas minus five, Kansas State minus five.
Uh, taking a look at this one.
Should be a good game, great
It
game, I
really
think.
should be.
But it's week to week with those two teams.
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna take Oklahoma State because I just think they can run the ball. They run the ball extremely well. And they lost to Utah last week. It was only by 3 points though. I think Utah is the clear front runner. Kansas is dead. Kansas. I think the dream of them making the playoffs over.
Which wait, next this is week 5, so we after week 6 we'll have an extended episode where we go back and say we'll look at our college football playoff picks and see how that worked out. Louisville at Notre Dame. This one's
Louisville,
interesting.
Louisville. I've discussed this with Mitch. I think Louisville beat Notre Dame last year, correct?
Yes.
Jeff Brom's a Notre Dame killer. Notre Dame, we saw what happened against NIU. Louisville, they're not bad, man. They're still a good program.
I have Louisville as well. I just don't trust Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame when they
They're a quiet 3-0 too.
yeah.
62-0 against Austin P, 49-14 against Jacksonville State. And then they had a bye. And then they beat Georgia Tech 31-19. And remember, everyone was crowning Georgia Tech weeks ago, saying, oh, they're going to win the ACC and stuff because they beat Florida State. Syracuse beats them by a little bit. But Louisville handled Georgia Tech easily. And then I feel like they're pretty healthy for the most part. So I like them over Notre Dame.
All right, what's the last two games?
There's some crazy night ones. Give me 1 second. Pull back up the schedule. Don't tell me we're running out of time. I'm gonna
9 minutes.
Oh, we have Penn State versus Illinois. This is actually 7:30. People are kind of probably forget about this one because Ohio State will be on and Georgia Bama will be on.
It's the whiteout.
It is. And this is what's the spread?
I just had it in 19.5 Penn State.
I'm going to take Illinois here because we've seen Brett Bielema go into this, and this is a very talented Illinois team. We've seen Brett Bielema go into the whiteout, and well, it wasn't whiteout, but he's gone into Happy Valley and he's won before. It was 2021. Remember
Yep.
what was it?
The 9 overtime.
Same.
I like Illinois as well. Don't like them to win the game, but 3 touchdown spread is a lot in the Big Ten.
Yeah. And then I got one more. Let's do this one. This one should be, this one's basically a ranked game. In my mind, it should be. I got at night 10:30. Oh, 10:15. Number 10 Utah versus unranked Arizona. Arizona's gonna should be ranked. They're not ranked because they've only played 3 games and they lost to Kansas State. They're a very good team though, Arizona. Um,
Nine minus nine.
I'm gonna take Arizona.
I'm gonna
Um,
take the Utes.
I'm gonna take Arizona. I think I think McMillan's in for a big night.
I'm taking the Utes. I like Utah's defense, and I like Utah to win the Big 12. Um, I think they keep it rolling, and I think outside of Kansas State and Utah, I think we're right there. We're the same on every pick but Kansas State and Utah, so that we got to have some leeway here.
We do. No, we do.
Watch out for Washington and Rutgers tomorrow night. Tim Brando, Devin Gardner on Fox. Washington at Rutgers.
I gotta say, I know you know Tim personally because you worked with him, but I gotta say, um, and this isn't brown nosing, this isn't glazing, as the young folks call it. Him and Devin Gardner, I know they got rid of his other partner.
Spencer Tillman, he's on BTN now.
Yeah, and him and Spencer were great, but like him and Devin Gardner's, and this is crazy to say, Devin Gardner's a great analyst. I really enjoy listening to
He's a
him.
better analyst than quarterback.
Oh, 100%.
Just like Joel Klatt. Just like Joel Klatt.
That's all right. You don't got to look. I mean, I think I really enjoy his analysis. This is a Buckeye complimenting a Wolverine. I was listening to them and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And then I found out it was Devin Gardner. I'm like, oh, not bad.
Devin Gardner greater than Desmond Howard and Charles Woodson
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
when
Because
it comes to media personality.
one never beat Ohio State. Number two, you wore number 98. Like, okay, cool. And he was class there. Remember, JT got hurt. He
Yeah.
and like gave him.
Let,
Yeah, Devin Gardner's a good dude. I got no
let,
problem.
let I dare you for our Friday fire up that team up north fans. Tomorrow night during the game, when you're watching it, Devin Gardner with the greater and less than symbol, Desmond Howard and Charles Woodson.
I'm firing that off tomorrow at 100%. And I'll debate people on this. He's a very good analyst. And
Yeah, he is.
you know why he's a good analyst? Because he was not that good of a college player, and yet he's still on TV. If
And
if
he's not obnoxious.
if Desmond Howard didn't have the Heisman, he would not be in Devin Gardner's spot.
I love how Michigan fans are also flexing that Will Johnson has more touchdowns than Emeka Ibuka, but then you turn it around and say, well, Ohio State's receivers, I mean, but you turn around and say Lathan Ransom has more touchdowns than Michigan's receivers.
Gabe Powers has more touchdowns than Michigan.
Right. All right. USC gave that game away last week. We forgot to mention that. 32 yards pass. Oh, wait, we did talk about that. It's just bugging me.
No, we did. The Miller Moss Heisman dream died.
Dude, there's no front runner for the Heisman this year. I love it.
It should be Travis Hunter right now, I think, because he's averaging over 100 yards receiving a game. He's playing over 100 snaps a game. He's making plays on defense.
Yep.
I know part of my take said this great. They're like, oh, it's Dion fatigue, and that's why he's not getting votes. And I agree, because he is the most outstanding player in college football right now.
Yeah. Individually.
Absolutely. If he played for LSU, Bama, not Ohio State, because they would screw him, because that's what happens. But if he played anywhere else, he'd basically be getting votes.
Yeah.
Like if he played for Tennessee.
Just like Orlando Pace should have won the Heisman in '98.
It's the most outstanding player, and I think he does. And he's not that. Travis, look, Shador is cocky. Shiloh is cocky. Travis Hunter's not that cocky. He keeps his mouth shut. He's just about balling, and I respect Travis Hunter. I think he embodies what the Heisman should be.
Yep. Definitely.
But it's going to go to Caleb Downs or Quinshon Judkins or Will Howard.
I like Quinshon Judkins, man.
I think he's a dark horse right now for the Heisman. It's the only thing that would hurt him is if Trey
starts popping off at more yards.
Trey and his touches are eclipsing him for yards, but Judkins, man. Judkins is going to go for at least 1,600 yards.
Them stiff arms for both of them are just.
I think Ashton Jeanty, he is the September Heisman. I think I'm going to crown him that. I think that's a fair thing to say right now because
We
that
got
the,
one more week. One more week.
one more and is going to start falling off. Um,
Sunday when we do our recap, Dan will reveal his September Heisman.
I will hint hint. Um, and then there's Jackson Dart. I like the name. The name is sick, and I'm shocked they haven't created more like branding with the name Dart and like throwing. I feel like he looks the part, but I'm not sold on Ole Miss at all. I think they're frauds.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not really sold on Tennessee yet either. I
Yeah,
will be in a couple weeks though.
yeah. Real quick, we got a minute. We forgot our game predictions. Give me one prediction, one bold prediction. I
I'm
want.
going with it. I'm going with a special teams touchdown, kickoff for return for a touchdown.
if if we get a punt return touchdown this weekend, during my birthday party,
I'm
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 gonna
chugging a Miller Lite.
I'm taking a shot.
I'm chugging a Miller
I
Lite.
will take a shot of bourbon. Um, my prediction, I'm gonna say tight end touchdown. I think I've been saying that every week.
You got one with Bennett Christian a couple weeks ago.
A tight end will get a touchdown. We're due.
I'm going. I'm going to go with another one. I'm going Quinshawn over 200 yards rushing.
I like that one. I'm gonna go with on defense JTT triple crown sack strip fumble
Recover.
recovery. Yeah, the triple. He's gonna do the triple crown.
I said it earlier. Caleb Downs coming out party. I'm going with an interception.
My last one will be we will
This is
have.
your offense.
I was gonna do a special teams one. We will have
Oh
a
yeah,
missed field goal.
a missed field goal.
I'm
Okay.
confident after what I saw last week. But
Well, yeah, because you got 49, so you missed field goal because it should be 50, 52, 13, and then
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's locked that in. Our kicker can't even keep it in bounds. But that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Thank goodness for Jeremiah Smith and touchdowns. So thank you so much for everyone for listening to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. Stay dry this weekend. Enjoy some great college football and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.